I just wanted to state for the record um, more about my understanding of Corey Quint's bizarre behavior to me. I hung out with him alone on three separate occasions. Once having tea, nothing physical happened. He did say creepy things about wanting to assault his ex. Second time I hung out with him, we began what was a consensual, platonic, non sexual cuddle when I was allowing him to sleep. He then began rubbing his genital area upon me, and it was very clear he suffers from some kind of deformity, dysfunction, or small anatomy problem that involved like inability to do anything sexually with a woman regarding a penis. So that was okay, I'm willing to be his friend or whatever. He then put his hand around my throat as surely I was becoming aware of his problem. I understood his hand around my throat to be a compensation for his apparently dysfunctional, small, or otherwise non existent penis. That was, I could sense by him rubbing himself upon me. At that time, I was attracted to him. And it was a misfortune that he both, has no ability to satisfy a woman, and then furthermore wants to put his hand around her throat. Okay. Third time I hung out with him alone. Last time I hung out with him alone, he very belligerently pressured me for access to me, to come in and take a shower, whatever, but he's like homeless and desperate. I'm sketched on him. I've already processed that he's crazy, cuckoo, nuts, going to put his hand around a throat. I also still am razzle-dazzled by his like soft, feminine, effeminate, hippie demeanor that, he's obviously just got some mental problem. So I'm still possibly of the opinion that I can work it out, talk it through with him, and explain to him that in no way ever do I need his hand around my throat, especially as some kind of coping mechanism for his revelation of his small penis problem, small dysfunctional penis problem. So additionally, I do always believe there are subconscious motives, the other being jealousy that I have housing, anger at my other friendships, blah, 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 blah. So I believe there were many other issues, even Ozark Iraq bullying me at the lifeboat facility. Maybe anger that I did more education than he did, jealousy that I have money or he doesn't, or whatever class warfare and social warfare type issues may also be going on, including beyond the physical inadequacy. The third time I hung out with him, he very aggressively began ripping my clothes off. It became a struggle. I had to keep ripping them back on. He kept ripping them off. I kept putting them back on. He kept ripping them off. At some point, I stopped fighting. I remember processing, I don't like creepy, rapey men like you that are very pushy and very physically violent in the way you are ripping my clothes off. He proceeded to give me oral sex. He did motion towards my neck again to do some kind of choking. I pushed his hand away. I do remember that. And I figured, okay, well, you have this erectile dysfunction, small penis problem. So I guess this is all you are going to do, all you are capable of doing. And if I allow this to continue in this coercive state of you forcibly ripping off my clothes, then I will not have to be raped. And there's nothing to rape me with anyway. Oh boy, was I wrong. This is going on way too long. He's doing damage to my tissue. I'm worried to stop it because I don't know what is coming next, and I fear a possible attempted rape. He suddenly rips his pants off, comes at me with a very small flaccid penis towards my face first, and I had no reason to know why he was doing that. It took me 9 months to realize he probably wanted oral sex from me, which is completely not appealing. And Then he goes with his naked flaccid penis, and this guy's 6'2", somewhat big boned, you could say, like long-legged, strong, long legs, and somewhat overweight from beer drinking or awkward-shaped body. He's pushing himself at his flaccid, non-condom using penis at me, at my vaginal area, with no condom whatsoever, no discussion of condom, and no discussion of whether or not he has consent to do so. So pushing of the penis towards my face and towards my vagina without consent, and the non-consensual ripping off of my clothes, the infliction of the oral sex under duress of preventing any further rape, I curl up into a fetal position, roll to my left, run to the restroom. Oh, and before that, I say, not without a condom, like, because I'm thinking, like, what the F? You're not even having a discussion about a condom. And then I'm thinking, well, I don't have specially sized small condoms, and even a regular free bowl size condom is going to fall off of that small flaccid thing because you don't even have an erection as you're trying to ram it at me. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, is this guy going to try to rape me with a flaccid penis? I run to the restroom, gather my composure, quickly retrieve my clothing and put them on, and then play it off as if I have some problem. I'm just say, I'm not very good at sex, hoping, oh my God, I hope he doesn't try again to go at it. To my knowledge, he didn't. He claimed to the judge he had numerous intercourse with me. I was like, for the record, his penis never entered my vagina. So I knew never to hang out with him again. Later, maybe a few weeks later, almost a month later, I have him over at my partner's thinking, well, if I have another male supervising him, he won't try anything dodgy. Well, that's when he puts his hand around my throat in front of my partner and begins poking me with his hands when I tell him, hey, what's up? No, why do you do that? And like, you don't have consent to do that, and everything you do, you need consent. And he's like, do I need consent for this? Do I need consent for that? Do we need consent for this? As he's poking my arm. And I'm wincing away, like, dude, what is your problem? Why are you acting like a child? And then he's, beginning his flamboyant tirade against me as I'm saying, well, putting your hand, he literally puts his hand around my neck, his thumb, and does some weird choke like that. And he did that the first time. That should have been like, call the cops, get out of here. The first time he did it, I felt sorry for him. Stockholm syndrome. I thought he was stupid. I thought he was brain damaged. I thought he was creepy as hell. I wasn't sure if I could negotiate it, and I don't think I was willing to lose the friendship, right? Because whatever, he's he's not as ugly as Chris Duffy, for instance. He's kind of good looking, or he used to be to me. And he was my best friend at the time. So I'm like, oh my God, you tolerate all this BS from best friends or whatever. I felt sorry for him. And as he's pulling away after this like final attempt to put his hand around my throat, which I would say this is the second time, because the attempted second time I was able to brush it off quickly enough. So that's clear, I'm not into this, don't do that, right? And the whole issue of his penis problems, I think it's been very difficult for me to talk about that, because I think, other people such as Chris Duffy has this gigantic, oversized, probably Magnum XL thing he was ramming on me non-consensually in a violent slam down that's practically almost breaking my neck and knocking me out. He's slamming me down so hard. That guy is a sexual predator. I was definitely afraid that if he raped me, I would get pregnant or vaginal injuries. I was never afraid of a vaginal injury from a Corey Quint rape with a flaccid penis, like about yay high, flaccid and limp and whatever, and dysfunctional. So I believe his weird fetish for putting his hand around my throat also pertained to his machismo of needing to overcompensate for his lack of abilities in other departments. And I checked my vaginal tissue the day after this coercive, what I called rapey to Officer Groder incident, and he had ripped the skin off my vaginal tissue with his aggressive chewing or whatever the heck he was doing to me, in which I was enduring it out of fear of like, oh my God, where is this headed next? He's not going to try anything next, which my attraction was just not all there for all that. And I'm not into chokers. And I honestly felt very sorry for him because I'm like, dude, you're going to have to talk to law enforcement. Why are you doing non-consensual, creepy stuff? So if Judge Don McIntosh thinks I have no credibility, blah, 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 why don't you take him home and have him babysit your 12-year-old daughter? Like, come on, get real. I think in a way, though, McIntosh was like willing to brush it under the rug, but then she was kind of getting a little weirded out. She's like, well, there are definitely problems here. And her callous disregard of me, the fact that we did not have an in-courtroom present hearing, just like Chris Duffy was dodging the court, this time it was dodged due to the COVID protocol of everything being on Zoom, it really negates the fact that I'm just over 5'4". I'm like almost 5'5" in stature. He's 6'2". He's gigantic and he's intimidating. He was charging at me. His whole thing is to like do creepy stares. He'll be down at Lifeboat tomorrow doing creepy stares at all the women. And I just don't know what else he's done or who else he's done this hand around the throat business to. And I almost felt sorry for him. Like, oh, I'm sorry you're so physically inadequate that you think this is cool and this is lame. I'm not into this and this is non-consensual. And me trying to keep it in a sort of platonic, at most romantic friendship level, not a relationship as he claimed, or she's my girlfriend as he claimed. And then he tried to go and victim blame me by something called horror bashing, where he like falsely alleges that I'm sleeping with 3 men, 3 women, and basically say to the judge, she's such a whore, anything I do to her is okay. Like, and it was really disgusting to see Don McIntosh buy into his victim blaming. But I think at that point, Dawn had a different beef with me, which is that I kept reporting her colleagues for misconduct to the Judicial Fitness Board. So it's almost like Ozark used Corey's violence to me as a way to get even with me. Ozark had a female survivor, Monica Gibbs, testify on behalf of a sexual predator with a weird, creepy choking fetish. And then had Matt Williams, who punched out Sierra's tooth and even chased me across the street in a violent meth-fueled rage as his key witness or whatever. I was able to say to Matt Williams, I was like, have you ever put your hand around a woman's throat? And he said no. And I was kind of like, okay, dude, so why do you want to take all this karma on for your homie? Oh, because you do drugs together? So I put forward a motion to the judge saying that it was completely inappropriate to use Lifeboat's structure to support the perpetrator and that would disinhibit other victims from coming forward, and that the court should neutralize it by like keeping it in neutral territory, and then also not allow, say, Ozark to be like sitting in on it like, oh, tell us about how you almost raped Mary. Ooh, Corey, aren't you cool? And the fact that Corey basically falsely alleged he had this relationship with me and that anything was ever consensual, I think that so gross. And like consent for one thing is not consent for another. Consent for a cup of tea is not consent for a hand around the throat, okay? And consent for a cuddle is not consent for this. And I was pretty scared of him the night he came over and got rapey. And that's about the time I was completely sure he was an unreasonable psychopath. So that this final time he put his hand around my throat in front of my partner, it was sort of more like we're now at the I feel sorry for you level of our friendship. It is definitely not a relationship. I am definitely not a girlfriend. You're definitely lame. AF, and you're here because I feel sorry for you, and you're homeless and whatever. And he's probably just smoking meth and fentanyl in the other room, now that it dawns on me, like, based on how he was acting. So somebody came up to me after my order, was like, oh, he's getting really into fentanyl with Terry now. And I'm just like, yeah, he said he was a pain pill addict years ago. He said he slept with his medical clients when he'd be scheduling their appointments. All one night stands, and boy, can you see why. He's definitely, you wouldn't do it again, is what I'm saying. Well, anyway, I think squeamishness about penis size when discussing sexual assault often obscures the brutal realities, and if, many rapist type guys are just medium-sized guys, maybe there's no need to bring it up. But with these excessively large and or excessively small defunct penis strategies, I think the discussion of Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein's extremely deformed small penis was important to understanding the psychological aspects of the case. And I think, for instance, with his penis size coming at me, in the moment that he's ramming his penis at me, and I'm all like, what the heck? Like, I didn't say you could do that. I didn't say you could take off your pants. I didn't say you could get nude in front of me. I didn't say you could ram that at me. I didn't say you could ram it at me without a condom. I'm thinking, I don't have a condom small enough for that. Even a medium-sized condom, which you keep on hand for your medium-sized rapists, would fall off of that. So WTF? Oh, you're one of those small penis dudes who doesn't like condoms because you can't get them to stay on. And okay, for, say, Badger, who basically said, oh, because I'm probably laughing at his dick size, that is therefore a good excuse for me to be choked. That is disgusting rationale, and we will be having words on the street when I speak with you about that and your use of the N-word, and Matt Williams' use of the N-word and the C-word to harass and intimidate the woman who he punched her tooth out and then repeatedly harassed her at Lifeboat. We need something like Rose Haven in Astoria. There is no safe place for women to eat a meal. They will be harassed by these predators down there at Lifeboat. It is a disgusting patriarchal fraternity rape type atmosphere over there. And Ozark is ill-equipped to make a safe space for women. They've made it abundantly clear that I'm not welcome for reporting misconduct, and that I will be trashed, humiliated, degraded, sexually propositioned, and or assaulted by their clients, and the city should not fund it. The city of Astoria is desperate, but they will be hearing from me again, so I guess that's it.